Okay. Heather Oosterhuis is an accomplished wife, businesswoman, and mother to four young kids. She balances homeschooling with being a platinum Young Living leader and continually hits home runs in both arenas. Heather has a background in acting, so don't be surprised if she makes you both laugh and cry through tonight's class. Thank you for sharing your time and wisdom with us on Thursday night, Heather. Please take it away.
Oh, thank you, Jennifer. And I just want to put a plug in there for anybody who doesn't know. We have an amazing leader, Skyla Mann, and you'll see in my box right here, even though my name is Heather Oosterhuis, this says Skyla Mann. That's because she sets up this weekly class for us. She does all the scouting and the asking and the arranging so that we have an opportunity to every week have something to learn about. So if she's not on here tonight, she might be on here later. She's doing something with her kids and family for school. So if you get a minute, would you send her either a Facebook message, text, or just a note on her wall and just thank her for this awesome opportunity that she gives us? Round of applause. All right, I'm going to start off by doing a screen share here. So tonight's going to have all kinds of fun stuff. All right, let me get my first screen up. And sometimes as I switch between screens, there might be a quick pause or delay, but just know if for some reason I get kicked off, I will be back shortly. Just hang tight and talk amongst yourselves. All right, so let me get my chat box up here because I want to try to see your chats. If you have any questions as we're going through, feel free to type them in the chat box. And know that at the end, I will stick around and answer questions as well. But sometimes when I'm in full presentation mode and you're looking at my other screens, I may not see my chat box or be able to type in it. So if I don't get to it right away, that would be why. All right, so let's start off here. Tonight's class is titled A Blueprint for Your Wellness Foundation. And that, I just thought that was so clever because my husband is an architect. This is John and I, and so Skyla had a cute graphic when she was advertising this, and I just got a big kick out of it because I started my health and wellness journey about 7 to 10 years ago. I was having a lot of stomach issues for most of my mature life and had lots of tests and scopes and things, and everything was normal, but I knew I wasn't feeling normal. And so I began to pursue health and wellness in a different direction. I really wanted to find out what I could do to stay well and to be well. And it started out for me with food. And in the beginning, I didn't know how bad I felt. I knew I was bad, but I didn't know how bad I was until I started. And so for me, that started with just basically going down to a really restricted diet for a month, adding in some supplements to calm my gut health down and just help take away inflammation, and then just helping to rebuild my gut health. And we're going to talk a lot about that tonight because our gut health is a big key to our immune system. So as we're going into with the weather change and fall fast approaching, that with all that comes this sense sometimes for people of a little bit of dread. Have any of you felt that? Like, oh, here we come. But how would you like to start laying the foundation for health and wellness before this so-called flu and cold season is upon us? Have you ever heard the term cold and flu season or used that before? Raise your hand. And we kind of talk about thing that we're going to have to just endure and hope we can dodge it, right? But what if you could walk away from the webinar tonight with some simple yet transformational ideas that will radically create a new ongoing state of wellness for you and your family? Would that be time well spent tonight? I'm gonna challenge you a little bit, because some of the ideas I'm going to give you tonight are going to be simple sounding. They're going to be hard to do, but they're going to be so simple that you will be tempted to blow them off and put them on the shelf for some other time. And I'm going to encourage you to take some of the ideas I present you tonight to heart and really pick some of them to start incorporating into your health. Because I was one of those people. The things that I'm about to tell you tonight, I didn't think were that big of a deal. And when I finally got desperate enough to try them, I was shocked that I didn't know how big a deal this was. Because everybody's going to tell you some of what you hear tonight. You may already know. But nobody tells you exactly how important it is. So I'm here to say, resist the urge to blow it off and really kind of give yourself an open mind, give yourself permission to explore tonight and to take some ideas home. So what if there were no such thing as cold and flu season? Dun, dun, dun. One of my health mentors has a different name for this season, and it's an idea that has radically transformed our family's health. She says that cold and flu season, are you ready for this, is really sugar and lack of vitamin D season. All right, so think about this. We end our sunshiny summer by going into the school year. Most kids are indoors more, outdoor less. And just because naturally the season becomes colder, we're indoor more. We have school starting, that kind of thing. Those of us that work, are already inside more, and we just have less reason to get outside when it's colder. And then we have fall parties with lots of sugary treats. We give children bags full of candy to binge on at the end of October. And then we go into the holidays with all of its parties, which include more sugar and treats. And we have family gatherings with more sugar and treats. And we have Thanksgiving, which is lots of refined white flour and grains, which convert to sugar. And then we have Christmas, which is more sugar and treats, right? So much of our fall and winter revolves around being inside and having lots of food, the majority of which is less than nourishing to our bodies. All right, so increase in sugar and decrease in sunshine, which gives vitamin D. All right, so why does all of this matter? All right, let's break it down. So in order to understand the significance of this, we need to understand how sugar affects our body and where we get our sugar from. So I'm going to let you watch this 5-minute quick video. I'm going to share my screen on a different screen, and we're gonna discuss this. We're going to explore this, the effect of sugar on our body. Hold on here. Share screen, and here we go.
Picture warm, gooey cookies, crunchy candies, velvety cakes, waffle cones piled high with ice cream. Is your mouth watering? Are you craving dessert? Why? What happens in the brain that makes sugary food so hard to resist? Sugar is a general term used to describe a class of molecules called carbohydrates, and it's found in a wide variety of food and drink. Just check the labels on sweet products you buy. Glucose, fructose, sucrose, maltose, lactose, dextrose, and starch are all forms of sugar. So are high fructose corn syrup, fruit juice, raw sugar, and honey. And sugar isn't just in candies and desserts. It's also added to tomato sauce, yogurt, dried fruit, flavored waters, or granola bars. Since sugar is everywhere, it's important to understand how it affects the brain. What happens when sugar hits your tongue? And does eating a little bit of sugar make you crave more? You take a bite of cereal. The sugars it contains activate the sweet taste receptors, part of the taste buds on the tongue. These receptors send a signal up to the brainstem, and from there it forks off into many areas of the forebrain, one of which is the cerebral cortex. Different sections of the cerebral cortex process different tastes: bitter, salty, umami, and in our case, sweet. From here, the signal activates the brain's reward system. This reward system is a series of electrical and chemical pathways across several different regions of the brain. It's a complicated network, but it helps answer a single subconscious question. Should I do that again? That warm, fuzzy feeling you get when you taste grandma's chocolate cake? That's your reward system saying, yes. And it's not just activated by food. Socializing, sexual behavior, and drugs are just a few examples of things and experiences that also activate the reward system. But overactivating this reward system kickstarts a series of unfortunate events: loss of control, craving, and increased tolerance to sugar. Let's get back to our bite of cereal. It travels down into your stomach and eventually into your gut. And guess what? There are sugar receptors here too. They're not taste buds, but they do send signals telling your brain that you're full, or that your body should produce more insulin to deal with the extra sugar you're eating. The major currency of our reward system is dopamine, an important chemical or neurotransmitter. There are many dopamine receptors in the forebrain, but they're not evenly distributed. Certain areas contain dense clusters of receptors, and these dopamine hotspots are a part of our reward system. Drugs like alcohol, nicotine, or heroin send dopamine into overdrive, leading some people to constantly seek that high. In other words, to be addicted. Sugar also causes dopamine to be released, though not as violently as drugs. And sugar is rare among dopamine-inducing foods. Broccoli, for example, has no effect, which probably explains why it's so hard to get kids to eat their veggies. Speaking of healthy foods, let's say you're hungry and decide to eat a balanced meal. You do, and dopamine levels spike in the reward system hotspots. But if you eat that same dish many days in a row, dopamine levels will spike less and less, eventually leveling out. That's because when it comes to food, the brain evolved to pay special attention to new or different tastes. Why? 2 reasons. First, to detect food that's gone bad. And second, because the more variety we have in our diet, the more likely we are to get all the nutrients we need. To keep that variety up, we need to be able to recognize a new food, and more importantly, we need to want to keep eating new foods. And that's why the dopamine levels off when a food becomes boring. Now back to that meal. What happens if in place of the healthy, balanced dish, you eat sugar-rich food instead? If you rarely eat sugar, or don't eat much at a time, the effect is similar to that of the balanced meal. But if you eat too much, the dopamine response does not level out. In other words, eating lots of sugar will continue to feel rewarding. In this way, sugar behaves a little bit like a drug. It's one reason people seem to be hooked on sugary foods. So think back to all those different kinds of sugar. Each one is unique, but every time any sugar is consumed, it kickstarts a domino effect in the brain that sparks a rewarding feeling. Too much too often, and things can go into overdrive. So yes, overconsumption of sugar can have addictive effects on the brain, but a wedge of cake once in a while won't hurt you.
All right. I would love to hear from you guys. Give me some feedback. What did you hear? What was interesting? What was new? You'll have to click the unmute button for yourself. Anyone? Bueller?
Just the obvious. Sugar bugs are no good. And it's confirming. I feel like it's confirming. Like they do act like a drug, and it just makes me crazy when all the people everywhere you bring your children want to give them sugar.
Yes.
Why? Can I just carry that around on my phone and just show them?
Yes, you can. No. Anyone else want to share?
I do.
Yes, go, Katrina.
Actually, when I was watching the video, I kind of hung my head in shame just because I just finished a candy bar because I needed it for dessert. I'm trying to fight it, but it's just one of those things where you're like, oh, I gotta have that sugar, and then once you have it, you feel better.
Yeah.
Then you don't, you know, in your brain that that's not good for you and that you shouldn't be eating all that.
Yes.
It's a real struggle. It's a real struggle.
It is a real struggle. I wholeheartedly agree. Anyone else have any thoughts? One way or the other? Something new, something old, something confirming?
Everybody has a sweet tooth, so what are you supposed to satisfy that with?
That is a great question. That's not in my talk tonight, but I'm happy to discuss it. Because it's true, okay? Right? We live in the world we live in. Karen's right. We have sugar everywhere. Everyone wants to give our kids sugar. And Katrina's right. Sometimes mama needs chocolate. And I like cake and I like dessert too. And so for me, I've been on this journey for a long time. So what I share with you about what I'm doing in my life, I do not want you to feel like you have to take on for you yet. But I do want to encourage you that as you start making healthier choices, that it is possible to live in our world and avoid sugar. It is possible to live in our world and avoid sugar and eat really yummy desserts that do not spike your blood sugar, that do not harm your health, and do not make you feel deprived. And it's possible to teach 4 kids to say no thank you to sugar without crying, without complaint, and to turn it down when you're not even there. So all of that exists, and we can discuss that further later. But I really tonight just wanted to bring up one of the things that I feel like is a key foundation for our health and wellness and our immune system. So it just depends on where you're at on the spectrum. If you're somebody who is fairly healthy and doesn't usually struggle with sickness all that much in the winter months, then maybe you're not ready to be as aggressive about it as our family had to be. But maybe you are someone who's struggling, and I just want to say to you that this could be a transformational key for you, but I had to have the motivation to change, and part of that was a mindset for me that sugar equals inflammation, that it equals disharmony and disease, dis-ease in my body. I actually had to start treating it like a drug. So I don't use drugs, and so that was a good analogy for me. I had to do some brain work to make it happen. But we can talk about that further later. Tonight's really just about kind of exposing you to the idea a little bit more. I have an entire talk on why and how to give up sugar and tips and tricks that is recorded on my YouTube channel, and I'll reference that link later. But if you go to Heather Oosterhuis, the YouTube channel, I have a playlist called Foundations of Wellness, and one of those videos is called Sugar Free Who Me, and so you can check that out more in the meantime. So let me share my screen with you all again. Let me get my PowerPoint back up here. Thank you, Skyla, for being back with us. Okay, I'm going to get my chat box up here too so I can see that. All right. Okay, so we said, what if there's no cold and flu season? And why does it matter? Okay, we talked about what sugar does in our body, what it does to our brain. It acts like a drug in our brain, and it actually makes us crave it. The more that we use it, the more that we want it, the higher amounts of it that it takes to give us that fix that we like, that gives us that fix that we get from other forms of dopamine enhancing or dopamine giving activities like all those other things in our life, right? Okay, so we know that sugar can cause hyperactivity in children and us. It can cause us anxiety, and crankiness, right? Like if you decide to give up sugar, there will be a detox period where you need to let the people around you know ahead of time what you're doing and that you do love them and you're sorry for whatever happens in the next few weeks. But it does give you a rush. It messes with your mind, and it always leaves you wanting more. So what do we do about that? All right. I found this interesting. Continuing to eat sugar will never lower the dopamine reactors in our brains. Like, you know, as I was watching that video, it was interesting to me that they were talking about how when you eat a really good healthy meal, you feel good, right? Like I've felt that before when I'm trying a new recipe or a new salad or something. I'm like, woohoo, I ate this salad. And I was thinking that it was just me eating a salad being healthy. But if I have eaten that same salad for a week, and after a week or two, you're kind of like, well, yeah, it still tastes good and I still like it, but it doesn't give me the pleasure that I didn't realize this until I was watching this video. There was a pleasure reception thing going on. That dopamine was being released at me being all excited, but then my body got used to even that good food, and I stopped receiving the pleasure from it because my body was saying, hey, Heather, you need a different set of good food now, right? But sugar doesn't do that. I found that very interesting. All right, so we're talking about some secret agents here. I've got some secret agents here on the screen because let's face it, sugar is sneaky. And, you know, there are things in our life that turn or act like sugar in our body. So white refined flours, think about the breads that we use, the pastries, even if they don't necessarily aren't covered or doused in sugar, you know, even some of our white bread that we love to pack our kids' lunches with are basically sugar. And so milk and dairy can act like sugar to some people, as well as a lot of processed foods are going to have some hidden sugar. And so I'm going to offer up to you a curious experiment. Are you ready for this? Anyone who is up for a curious experiment, I'm going to challenge you to grab 5 items from your pantry. If you're near your pantry, go ahead and run and do it now. Come right back. If you're not, that's okay. Save this idea for later. But any 5 ingredients, and just things that you would say, hey, this is kind of a staple at our house. Maybe this is our or my regular soup or my regular whatever food, our kids' regular. Grab some things that are pretty common for your family to eat on a regular basis. And I'm going to challenge you in your curious experiment to read the ingredient labels on those items, not the nutritional label that tells you carbs and sugars and all that. I want you to read yourself the ingredients, and I want you to look for the hidden names on this screen, all right? A rose by any other name would still smell as sweet. Well, sugar called something else still acts like sugar in your body, and these are hidden sugar names that you might come across. And I want you to see if something that you consider to be a health food for you, that you're kind of like, wow, if I do anything right, I ate this today. I ate this yogurt, or I ate this salad with this dressing, but oh my goodness, what's in the salad? What's in the yogurt? Are any of these items there? I'm going to challenge you to take a peek and just start becoming aware. Start every week when you're out shopping, just turn over some of those food items that regularly make an appearance in your cart and read the ingredient label. That would be a curious experiment that would help you on your journey to health and wellness, all right? And if you dare, I'm going to challenge you to post a picture of your 5 items and your observations in the Thursday Night Live group. We'll make a thread there. Maybe Skyla can even work on that quick. Just throw up a thread, and we'll put that in there and just start a discussion about what we find. All right? Because I'm going to challenge you that you're going to be very hard pressed to find a processed food item that does not have sugar. All right. So if I am going to eat something sweet, these are some of the natural sugars that I tend to go to. They're in their natural form. They still have an effect on your blood sugar insulin levels, but it is not as drastic as that of the other sugars that were on the other list. And then if you're looking for something that is not going to really have an effect on your insulin at all, you'd probably want to go to something like stevia or xylitol or erythritol. All right, so you can learn a ton about sugar, why you'd want to consider starting to weed it out of your life, how, honest tips and tricks from people that are doing it and have done it on that webinar that I was telling you about on my YouTube channel. And this is the photo that the video starts with. All right, so Organic doesn't equal healthy. So as you're looking at your food items, just remember that most organic foods still have sugar. Gluten-free does not mean healthy. A lot of gluten-free items have those refined flours that are going to act like sugar in your body if they don't have sugar as well. But just starting to become aware is a good first step. All right, so what is so bad about all that we just learned, all right? Take away these things. Take away, one, that sugar equals inflammation in your body. So whether you're somebody that struggles with inflammation in the form of pain, arthritis, joints, achingness, just general soreness, that's inflammation. Whether it's sinus trouble inflammation or allergy inflammation or gut issues, that's all inflammation, okay? And that sugar is a big contributor to that. Number 2, sugar feeds deadly diseases and it lowers the immune system. Sugar is an anti-nutrient. That means that it has, not only does it have no nutritional value on its own, it actually leaches out nutrients from the foods in your body that may already be there. So it's doing you no favors whatsoever. And then it affects your brain fog, not frog, and tiredness and things like that. All right. So sugar and your gut health. All right. First of all, your gut health. So we talked about sugar's effect on the brain. Let's talk about sugar's effect on your gut. First of all, your gut health influences your energy levels. It influences your immune system. It influences your ability to fight off disease. So a strong immune system means that you're sick less often and you're sick for a shorter time. And a weak immune system means that you're sicker longer and you're sick more often. It's that simple, okay? So let's talk about how exactly does your gut health, or we're going to call that your microbiome, and we're going to learn about that. How does that affect your immune system? That's going to be a key piece to your health and wellness. So this is our second 5-minute video. So grab a drink while you're watching this, and we'll be right back. I'm going to share screen, click on a different number. There we go. Can you all see that?
The next time you look in the mirror, think about this. In many ways, you're more microbe than human. There are 10 times more cells from microorganisms, bacteria, viruses, fungi, than human cells in and on our bodies. And our genes are outnumbered 100 to 1 by microbial genes. Scientists even have a name for all these microbial genes, the human microbiome. Now, this might make a lot of people rush for the hand sanitizer. But it turns out most of these microorganisms aren't bad. Germs that will make us sick, most are good. And without these good microbes, our bodies don't seem to do as well. We don't seem to be as healthy, and we actually might get sick more often. So one question is, where do our microbiomes come from in the first place? Well, like a lot of things, it starts with our mothers. As the infant passes through the birth canal, it gets coated with microbes from the mom. These microbes may kind of seed the baby with just the right mix. Combined with bacteria in breast milk and other microbes we encounter early on, they seem to slowly take shape in our first few years of life. The overall mix of our microbes becomes very personal, sort of like a fingerprint or maybe a blood type. But our microbes tend to resemble those of our parents and siblings and may stay with us for much of our lives. They may also be doing all sorts of things, such as educating our immune cells, like this one, teaching them the difference between things they should fight off, bad bugs that might make us sick, and things that aren't a threat, like our good microbes. When we're adults, microbes become our first line of defense, fighting off germs that try to invade our bodies, protecting their turf while protecting our health. Scientists have discovered they can even spew out their own antibiotics. The types of microbes in your body vary depending on exactly where they live, like different ecosystems in nature. There are wet places like our mouths, noses, and armpits, oiled places like our scalps and backs, and dry places like our forearms. Different species of microbes have adapted to each of these habitats. The biggest, most important microbial habitat seems to be in the gut. It's the most complex, the most diverse, and everything microbes are doing everywhere else in our bodies, fighting off infections, revving up and dampening down our immune systems, signaling cells, that's all happening in the gut in spades. They even seem to help regulate our metabolisms, how much energy we burn and how much fat we store. So if it's not functioning properly for some reason, because of what we eat, antibiotics we take, that may actually lead to all kinds of diseases. Diseases like colon cancer, colitis, maybe even diabetes and obesity. Some scientists think one reason a lot of diseases are increasing is because we've lost key gut microbes. Our microbiomes look far less diverse compared to those of people in less developed countries and earlier generations. And remember how we get our microbiomes in the first place? From our mothers when we're born and from breast milk? Well, some scientists think that too many babies aren't getting that because of all the C-sections and not enough breastfeeding, plus all the antibiotics kids get these days and our obsession with cleanliness. All this may help explain why problems like asthma and allergies have been soaring. Maybe because our microbiomes never taught our immune systems how to work the right way. Maybe swallowing good microbes, probiotics, could prevent and treat some diseases. So could taking prebiotics, essentially food that good microbes love. We end our story with a reminder. This research is really new. We still have a lot to learn about what many of our microbes are really doing. But scientists say that it's getting clearer and clearer that the tiny organisms all over our bodies are essential to our health and happiness.
All righty. Who would like to share some thoughts?
I will share one observation that I had never thought about, and that is that they talked about your microbiome almost being a unique identity like your fingerprint. And I think that's pretty crazy. So we are certainly unique, but I'd never thought that we could be identified by our gut health.
Thank you, Skyla. Anyone else have ideas? Things that stuck out to them or aha moments about that?
Hey everyone, can you hear me? I'm just hopping on, and I guess I'm coming up as Heather because I've used your Zoom before. So I'm not Heather. We're not twin sisters, but I'm Stacy, and just hopping on because Heather's awesome. And that video, it was just so cool. So I come from a family of 9 kids, and so my mom's philosophy was just kind of like dust it off, 5-second rule, that whole type of thing. And seeing this video really affirmed that tendency to not try and sanitize everything, that germs are not necessarily the enemy. And so, one of 9 kids, my mom, like, if she were to sanitize everything, that would be her full-time job. So she kind of came from the more old school mentality of just kind of shake it off. And so that's kind of how I raise my kids. I love the idea of, playing barefoot outside and absorbing a lot of the nutrients and just playing in the dirt, not being afraid of that anymore. So for me as a mom, that video has been really, I don't know, I guess affirming and letting me know that I'm not just a lazy mom or someone who's not wanting to clean their kids all the time or something. I'm like, hey, it's good for them. So I loved it. I thought it was great.
Yes. All right. Any last thoughts here before we go on? Anyone else want to share?
Yeah, and I do. I know families that their kids, they're clean. Everything's clean, sanitized, and they all have allergies.
Yeah.
Why is that? And I have somebody in the family that's like that, and kids have allergies. My house is not perfect, and my kids never had allergies.
Let us explore this idea further as I share my screen with you. All right, so let me see what slide I'm on here. All right, slide 10. Let me click play. All right, so we know that the sugar does to the brain. We know that our gut health is vital to our immune system, okay? But let's talk about what sugar does in the gut, shall we? All right, so sugar does affect your immune system. It suppresses it. It weakens your defenses against infection. Okay, so it makes it harder for the bad guys when you're fighting something to win the battle, because sugar is food for a lot of the bad bacteria in your gut. Now, we do have good and bad, and as long as they're in ratio and the good guys are still holding down the fort, you're not going to get sick as often or be sick as long when you do get sick. But sugar feeds the bad guys, namely a bad guy named Candida. Again, Candida is good and a normal part of a functioning gut biome, but too much of it can cause other problems. That's a whole nother class. Sugar also feeds cancer. We don't need to say any more than that, okay? And again, as I mentioned before, sugar is worse than nothing because it leaches minerals from the body as an anti-nutrient, okay? Our biome, our microbiome, the diverse ratio of the good guys and the bad guys in our gut bacteria, actually teaches our immune system to work the right way. So if you want to boost your immune system, then it makes sense to me that you want to boost your microbiome strength and diversity, okay? So let's talk about how do we boost our immune system through boosting our gut biome diversity, all right? So there are 4 major influences on our gut health, all right? The 4 major influences are the environment you live in, your diet, prescriptions that you take, and the type of birth that you have. Now, some of these we have control over and some of these we don't, okay? But let's just explore them a little bit and see what we do have control of, okay? So our environment, what types of toxins are we breathing in, consuming, putting on our bodies or into our bodies? Everything we use and surround ourselves with either helps or hinders our microbiome as well as other body systems. So for example, scented candles and plug-ins and aerosol sprays and fragrances work against our respiratory health, right? That kind of makes sense. And so they're known to be associated with breathing problems, all right? So that's something in our environment that we have control over. Those of us in Young Living have swapped those things out for our diffusers, right? Can I get a whoop whoop? This is a fantastic way for you to get amazing scents in your home. So if you're somebody that's new to this concept, a diffuser is a device that puts essential oils into the air. Essential oils give a great smell without all those toxic chemicals. And we have tons of fun recipes we can share with you. So if you have a favorite scent that you want to kick to the curb, toxin-wise, but you don't want to give up that awesome scent that you love, reach out to us because chances are we have a recipe for that. And keep in mind that simply swapping out those fragrances can upgrade the quality of life in your home. All right, so I'm going to encourage you, if there's any of you Christmas tree junkies out there, Christmas tree smells, to say no to the fake smelling trees and the fake smelling sprays for trees, and instead use an essential oil blend recipe. We have tons of pine oils, and if you're someone that struggles with respiratory health in the winter, it could just be the fact that your home is closed up more, you're using more of those scents that are causing respiratory distress, and that weakens your immune system. Could be, I don't know. It's an easy fix to play with. Why not give it a try? All right, so let's talk about some other toxins in our environment. We teach a whole class on toxins, so I'm not going to go into a lot of depth about this, but just take a look at your household cleaners. What are you using regularly in your home that could be causing, stress to your respiratory system? We just learned how important the gut biome is all over our body, the microbiome all over our body, not just in our gut health, is affected when we constantly are trying to kill germs, because the killers they kill the good guys and the bad guys. They don't care. They're going to take them all down, right? And so if we're over cleaning with harsh toxic chemicals, that's going to do harm not only to other systems of our body, but it could harm our gut health as well. All right. So again, we have Young Living options for that. How many of you love the Thieves Household Cleaner? Amazing. It is plant-based, 100% plant and mineral-based. And it's a cleaner that you can feel good about not harming your health because it's safe, right? So what I love about it is if my kiddos or a pet accidentally gets into it, I don't have to call poison control, all right? But I'm still gonna get that clean in my home without all the added toxins. All right, so let's talk about what we put on our body. This, again, is a whole nother class, but I'm going to encourage you, again, maybe you want to take a little tour of your bathroom, take out a couple products, snap a shot of this screen, and see if you have any of the top offenders in your bathroom. These top offenders, when you put them on your skin, not only do you have a good diverse ecology on your skin, as we learned, but your skin's your largest organ. So what you absorb is going to go into your bloodstream. All right, so let's make sure those are good things. And again, anything in Young Living is going to be clean and toxin free. So start making those swaps one at a time. It doesn't have to be an all or nothing thing, but you can upgrade your health one purchase at a time. All right, so consider that, as well as take a look at the antibacterials and soaps. Okay, so anything that says antibacterial is going to kill the good guys and the bad guys. So when you're washing your hands, I actually no longer I try not to use public restroom soap. I carry a little foaming hand soap of Thieves foaming hand soap in my purse, and I just use my own because I don't want the toxins and the triclosan that's going to be killing the good guys and the bad guys on my hands and being absorbed with those extra toxins. All right, so you can upgrade those as well. You can take them with you. You don't have to just succumb to whatever your environment is. You can have an influence on it. So environment's a big major influence. Let's talk about diet. All right, we've talked about sugar. You can get more resources on how to kick it in my playlist on my YouTube channel. There's also a great class called THM, Trim Healthy Mama. So if you're somebody who's looking at ways to upgrade your health but not give up the yummy treats, that would be a way of eating that would benefit you, that would be delicious, and you wouldn't feel deprived. So here are some 4 top tricks to kicking sugar, okay? Number 1 is to add more fats, fiber, and protein into each meal. Notice I'm encouraging you to add something. I'm not telling you to take something away yet, right? So step 1, add more fats because that's going to keep you fuller. And add more fiber because that's going to make you fuller, and it's going to, both of those are going to satiate you and take away some of those cravings, along with the protein is going to sustain your energy. All right, so 2 great big tricks. Then after you're accustomed to adding those into your meals, then can start removing the sugar from your diet. And you could consider some supplements that will help balance your blood sugar to maintain normal levels, and then weight training exercises or interval cardio. Something that I found interesting as I was looking into this, when they were saying people who work out and are trying to give up sugar, if you're doing something that requires heavy cardio, like running, where you're not getting as many breaks, it actually causes you to crave sugar more. So while you're trying to kick sugar to the curb, they encourage you to do weight training, or doing cardio is okay, but do something that's interval, meaning you go for a bit and you break, you go for a bit and you break. Things like yoga, and Pilates can be examples of that as well. All right. So let's talk about adding in the good fats like coconut oil, olive oil. These would be things like the coconut oil, olive oil, nuts, any kind of seeds. Avocados are really great for fats, as well as fish oils. Those all help. They nourish your body. They support your joint and brain health, and they support your body's natural response to inflammation. All right. Different foods are going to impact the diversity of your microbiome. Okay, so we talked about how sugar is a favorite food of the fungus Candida. Okay, so just not letting that overgrow. And then fiber is a great influencer on food. So the sugar would be a bad influence, but the fiber is a good influence because the bacteria in your gut digest the fiber, and that produces a short chain fatty acid that actually nourishes the gut lining. So when we don't have a strong gut health, our gut gets inflamed. Your intestines, your tubes, your stomach, it gets inflamed and angry, and that can lead to all kinds of problems. But that fiber that produces the short chain fatty acid, it's like a little all over the lining. It just goes in. And that's what the good fats do for your body too, okay? So having those are good. And then the protein, all right? So nourishing your gut lining can help you boost your immune system and help prevent inflammation. So the more fiber you ingest, the more developed your microbiome becomes. So I love this nutritionist. She says, the food you eat can either be the safest and most powerful form of medicine or the slowest form of poison. So think about food as medicine. So we talked about adding the fats, fiber, protein. Let's talk about taking the sugar out. This is the practical that Karen was asking for. Exactly how do you do it? Because I live in the real world. My kids go to youth group. We go to birthday parties. And because of the choices that we're making to really view food as medicine, we say no a lot. And saying no is okay, but it also means that we have to be prepared, especially in the beginning. I had to be prepared as we were transitioning. As long as I or my children had something for a snack that we thought was yummy, we didn't feel like we were missing out. We could still go and socialize. We could still go out to eat. We just had to have a plan. So pack it. Do you need to pack a meal? Do you need to eat before you go to the party? Do you need to bring a sweetener to add to a plain tea that you're offered or a plain beverage? Do you need to bring snacks for yourself? Do you need to bring your own salad dressing so you're not forced to have a sugary salad dressing? Think about what it is you need to do to be prepared to say yes to your health every time you leave your home. And then you can consider adding Ningxia Red into your lifestyle with nitro and zinc. Those are amazing supports to your overall health, whether it's supporting healthy blood sugar levels, whether it's supporting joint health, whether it's supporting digestion. Those are amazing ways to support your immune system. And the benefit of that is they also will help you say no to sugar because they're going to give you the energy that we often crave and associate with sugar in the form of natural nutrients, right? And then start considering changing up and adding essential oils to your water or tea as you transition off of sugar and help curb the cravings. All right, so what's the third way to help you kick sugar? We're going to consider adding, let me see here, supplements that help support healthy blood sugar levels. All right, so one of the great supplements that support blood sugar levels is vitamin B, some type of vitamin B complex. Young Living has Super B. And what I love about Super B is it has all of the Bs that you need in ratio. So it's going to support your mood. It's going to support energy levels and overall health. And bonus for you, it's going to help you kick sugar to the curb, right? Again, one of those things that we long for in our sugar is the boost, is the energy, is the zing and the dopamine. Well, we can get that natural dopamine in the vitamin B. And nitro has lots of healthy B in it as well. So those are two important things that you could add. And then ways that we can support our healthy gut biome is that probiotic, because if we can help keep the good guys strong in your microbiome and your gut health, that's going to help balance your mood and your gut health by making sure those bad guys have less of an army, because the bad guys feed on sugar and get bigger, but if we can increase the good guys, they'll kind of keep the bad guys in check, all right, which supports your immune system. So a probiotic, I feel like, is something that's absolutely essential. If you're not on any supplements yet, I would start with a probiotic. And Ningxia Red we mentioned already before. And then sprouted flax and chia seeds will give you fiber. Those are amazing nutrient supports that you can look for. And then I was starting to hear some buzz about chromium. So it's research to help balance, like maintain healthy blood sugar levels. So kind of research that. I don't know where you get a good chromium or really anything about it. It was just something that stood out to me as an interesting idea. All right, so here are some of Young Living supplements that we talked about tonight. The Nitro Tube and the Ningxia Red, our Super B. Omega Gies, there in the middle, that gorgeous blue bottle. Those are going to be the fish oils that we talked about that are going to be really great for just supporting joint and brain health. Multigreens for energy. Again, if you're someone who's struggling with energy, that might be a great ad for you as well. Life 5 and Life 9 are your two options in Young Living for probiotics. And, you know, those are to support the good guys in your gut health. And then Inner Defense just supports your healthy immune system. So just to help keep that strong this time of year, okay? So something that's interesting, when we talked earlier, one of the things that affect our gut health are prescriptions, all right? So things like probiotics and prebiotics would be the good things, like our Life 9 and Life 5 that we can add in. You can get probiotics in the form of fermented foods and beverages, but most of the things that you would buy at the store for that actually have a very low content of good guys, of those probiotics you're looking for. It's more of just a sales gimmick. And in addition to that, they often contain sugar, right? I always get a kick out of the yogurts that are probiotic and lactobacillus, and I go look at it and it's like 2 lactobacilli instead of like the 500 billion in other things. And then it's like, you know, 68 grams of sugar. And I'm like, well, that's a waste. So think about that, the good guys. And then antibiotics, they actually cause a dysbiotic microbiome. It throws off that balance. It makes you less diverse, okay? It takes away some of those good guys because, again, those antibiotics, whether they are in the form of prescriptions or whether they're in the form of like the soaps and cleaners and things that we use, they are usually broad spectrum. So they don't care who they kill, good or bad. They're just there to do mass destruction. They take as many casualties as they can. And, you know, just be cautious about your use of those things. Not saying that they're bad or that you should never have them, but just understand what they do and when you do need them, what you need to do to get it back. So I just want to share, and I'm going to get the numbers wrong, but it is astounding. One pill, one antibiotic pill will take you 2 years to recover from, in terms of reestablishing your microbiome in your gut. Okay, just a pill, not a dose, not a course, one pill. So just talk that over with your doctor and just say, what kinds of things can I do to support my gut health if I'm going to need that? Understand how that's going to affect your immune system. Other things that support your immune system, you know, we talked about Ningxia Red. How many of you are drinking that every day? Drinking your couple ounces? Can I get a whoop-a-doodly? So for those of you who don't know, it has amazing health benefits for every system of your body, all right? So it is full of whole fruit puree. It is not a junk juice. There's no added sugar or junk, and it has essential oils. So it's going to boost your immune system without the junk. It's going to give you that sustained energy without the rise and the crash. And we teach an entire class on this. So if you would like to learn more about that, we can probably find a recording for you. So again, we mentioned nitro as a great source of B vitamins, which are good for your mood and your energy. And as you're, getting used to having these things, you don't have to be boring. It doesn't have to be, it can be delicious is what I'm trying to say. So mix it up and have fun and find people who are on this wellness journey with you and play around with all the different recipes that you can do. I think the dreamsicle shot is quite delicious, if I do say so myself. All right, so be sure to check out the sugar-free Humi video and some of the other foundational YouTube videos that we have online. And consider some of the suggestions that we talked about for ways to kick sugar, and they go more into that video. But your immune system support, other ideas would be superfoods like bone broth. And if you don't know how to make bone broth, I would suggest that you, I think I did a video on it on my Facebook page. We can maybe dig that up. But get some of that in your freezer going into the winter, because it is a really huge superfood that when you are under the weather, everyone always says that, Mama's chicken soup helped. Mama's chicken soup didn't come in a can. It was made from the bones with the minerals and the soothing to the gut lining business that broth does. It is an amazing powerhouse. Sleep, we all know this. Our bodies heal when we sleep. Hydration and good old-fashioned common sense about what you can and can't do. Just being aware of that. And taking care of yourself, being willing to say, you know what, I feel myself dropping, so I'm going to sleep more and take care of myself so that I can recover faster. I think sometimes we just run ourselves down too quickly, and we don't give ourselves the time to let our bodies heal. All right, so I'm kind of starting with the baseline that most people are going to know about the Premium Starter Kit, but just on the off chance that you don't, I want to encourage you to look into the Premium Starter Kit from Young Living, attend a Basics of Essential Oils class to learn exactly how these tools can support every system of your body. So what I love about the starter kit is it does have at least one oil for every body system: your respiratory health, your immune system, your gut health, as well as skin health and muscles and joint support. And as a member, when you join Young Living, you get a 24% discount of all your products. So it's a really great company to start doing those swaps in as you're changing out the products that you use in your home and the lifestyle choices are getting easier. Young Living can help you do that, and you can save money. So be sure to follow up with the person that invited you to this webinar or who shared the recording with you, and ask them about the Premium Starter Kit if you don't have one yet, because that is going to be the biggest tool in your toolkit. Okay? And then, of course, you want to make sure that you have an ample supply of either the Thieves Cough Drops or the Thieves Lozenges on hand, because a lot of cough drops have sugar and other junk in them that we just don't need when we're already down and out. All right? So keep these on hand. Whatever it is that helps you support your health, make sure you have a little stash of it, because if you don't have it when you need it, then you can't use it. Am I right? Can I get a whoop whoop? So we talked about the Ningxia Red, but I just want to put a little plug in there for Thieves, and it's amazing support for your immune system. So you can, especially with fall, it's a yummy thing to add to your cider. It smells amazing. It has a nice cinnamon clove scent, and it's a huge boost for your immune system. And wonder of wonder, miracle of miracles, the amazing gifts that Young Living is going to be giving us in September all help with your immune system. Can I get a whoop whoop? Okay, so we talked about inner defense, and that being just an amazing way to support your gut health. That's a supplement that you take. It has essential oils in it of thieves, oregano, and thyme. You take that internally to support your immune system. Peace and calming, that's going to help you get the sleep you need at this time of year to keep your immune system at its optimal best. Oregano is a powerhouse for your immune system, whether with Vitality, taking it internally, or regular oregano, putting it on topically on your feet before bed. You can use that with Thieves. I consider oregano to kind of be, a heavier hitter than Thieves. So you can decide, do you want to smell like a pizzeria, or do you want to smell like a fall of flower? Fall flowers whatever, work with me here. Okay, and then you've got Cool Azul, and that's going to be great just for muscle and joint support as you decide to add a little movement into your life, because we know that movement helps keep your immune system strong and is going to help you curb sugar. So make sure that you are on Essential Rewards, because every month Young Living has free products like these that they give you for free just for making your purchase on the Essential Rewards program. That's what those little ER exclusives mean. That means you can place your regular order as a member and hey, we'll give you these free products, but if you place it on Essential Rewards, we're going to give you a little something, something extra. So if you don't know how to enroll in that, be sure to reach out to your Young Living leader. So thank you for hanging out with me tonight and letting me talk about something that I just love to talk about, which is food and nutrition and health and wellness. And I will stick around for questions for a little bit here if anybody has them. And Skyla, I'll let you decide when you want to stop the recording.
Fantastic. You are welcome to go ahead and stop the recording now.